Hello everyone, it's a Nuzlocke enjoyer here, back again with a pretty unique kind of challenge, the NFE LOCKE. This is a hardcore Nuzlocke of any Pokemon game, but I picked Fire Red, where you can only use not fully evolved Pokemon, or NFEs for short, which is like its own tier in Pokemon Showdown. You probably know what I'm talking about if you played Pokemon Showdown, but yeah. You can only catch and use mons in battle that are still not fully evolved yet, like wartortle, machoke and ratatta. This puts you at a huge disadvantage purely because of the raw stat difference you're going to be up against later on. And this challenge does require you to have at least a decent amount of knowledge of the game. But if you do have that, then it's very doable. So the rules of this challenge are obviously standard hardcore Nuzlocke rules, plus no setup allowed because obviously if you allow Swords Dance and Calm Mind and Bulk Up, the game's pretty trivial. But this time, in addition to all of that, there will be an extra challenge on top of this. Can I do this Nuzlocke challenge without losing a single mon? What? So you expect me to do this hardcore Nuzlocke challenge, which is already harder than the vast majority of hardcore Nuzlockes on YouTube, but you expect me to do this completely flawlessly as well, without having a single Pokemon faint during the entire playthrough? That sounds crazy, but as I am allowing for EV training this time, it is absolutely doable. So, let's begin in Nuzlocke, and oh boy, you're about to see some absolute memes unfold in this. I will say, this run was so funny to do. Also, I will say, before I start this run, I do want to go in detail about some of the pro strats for this run, kind of like a strategy guide to help you. So if you want to do this Nuzlocke, you're going to have a good idea of what to do already. So I argue that wartortle is the best starter, purely because mono water is just the best typing in this game and it's really bulky and reliable. Surf and Ice Beam is such good coverage, and it gets Protect, which allows it to stall with leftovers and Toxic, and Venusaur is such a meme to deal with. The only good early game mon that you can get, I would say, is Pidgeotto, but Pidgeotto is actually genuinely strong early game, and even mid-late game it holds up pretty well. It's the best flying type, well apart from one exception, and it's also the best normal type. So it's a really solid mon. With TM Return, which is a very powerful move in EV training, Pidgeotto with good IVs and good nature is legit a very good physical sweeper, and oh boy, you're about to see some absolute memes of Pidgeotto later on. Nidoran evolutions, which you also get early game, are mediocre because unfortunately you cannot get Sludge Bomb until the post game, which is really annoying. Otherwise it would be really nice, but by far the meta here are trade evolutions, Kadabra especially, but mons like Machoke, Kingdra and Graveler, they all do things. I'll say Onix is the worst one, but still. The best thing about these mons is they're almost all guaranteed encounters during this run. So, very powerful. These are just going to be the meta. But the last notable mon, and a very powerful one, probably one of the best in the whole run, is Golbat. And yes, I counted this as, though it evolves in Gen 2, I mean this is technically a Gen 3 game, Golbat does evolve in post game. So even in Fire Red, it's still considered an NFE mon. Golbat is very nice. It's got really good typing, it allows you to meme on so many mons in this game. It's like Venusaur for example. And its stats are still really nice for when you get them. And even late game, it's not even outclassed that much. It's just a very solid mon all round. But with all these mons, some good knowledge of the game, some EV training, you shouldn't be struggling too much. This is the meta right here, so let's start the run. So Nuzlocke begins, and this Squirtle that I picked is absolutely nuts with his natures and IVs. It's a staple for the entire run pretty much. So for the first few encounters, there's very little variation in what you're actually going to get. It's not like Fire Red Omega where there's like 40 available mons before the first gym. Nah, not really. In vanilla games, you almost always get the same thing, so you're pretty much guaranteed Ratatta and Pidgey. The rest before Gym 1 barely matters at all, like Spearow, Mankey or Metapod, whatever. Pidgey is the only encounter before Gym 1 that even remotely matters at all throughout the run. Even that isn't the most important thing ever. You shouldn't have much issues with the early game really. Next rival battle is easy, Bulbasaur just doesn't do too much, then just go straight to Brock. Here's a strat to beat Brock. Use Squirtle. You don't even need to bother getting up to the level cap. Enter the battle, spam the A button and win. That's right. Boring start, but okay. Carry on, and the Mount Moon encounter is potentially very important for the run. You really want to get Zubat, but Geodude is also really good. As long as you get one of those two, you should be Gucci. I get Zubat and it's got great IVs, oh baby, plus naughty nature, so that's really nice. Then I evolved my Squirtle into Wartortle, so now I'm packing some sauce. Go to Nugget Bridge, and next rival battle is such a meme. Wartortle can beat Pidgeotto, and once Bulbasaur goes down, you win. Easy as that. Yeah, so far the restrictions of the NFE lock don't really impact you at all, but this is where things get more interesting though, as before Misty, you get so many encounters you can use. This is why Fire Red is better than Leaf Green for this Nuzlocke, as if you use Repel Manips for the levels, you can guarantee Oddish and Abra, but in Leaf Green you can only get Bellsprout instead of Oddish, but Oddish is definitely better. You can get these right after Nugget Bridge on Route 24 and 25, but though you don't absolutely need Oddish, I think it's a really good mon. But what I will say is make sure that you get Diglett first from Diglett Cave to potentially get Arena Trap, as you really don't want to risk losing Abra. Abra is such a good mon. And make sure also that you catch a Meowth for that super important pickup and payday. Oddish is great at this point in the game due to Gloom's solid defensive stats and the fact that you get it this early on. But Abra is invaluable, especially late game. It trivializes so much with its surprisingly impressive stats for an NFE mon. I believe Pokemon Showdown is saturated in like the NU tier or PU tier, but it had like some competitive play in the lower ladders. I kept this thing safe and I didn't bother using it at all in my party, just due to its sheer importance, but if you do, you can actually destroy a lot of the early game mons you come across. Misty's next, and she was an absolute meme if you've got Gloom, but Gloom is pretty much guaranteed, so obviously you do have it. So just spam Absorb, and you can even Poison Powder on Starmie, and there's literally no way you can lose. Flawless easy. Nothing more to that. Rival battle on the boat was barely any harder. Now I've got Golbat, that just pretty much invalidates any grass, bug, or fighting type in this run. And it's pretty much a mainstay strat, but for this run, I used Drowsy as a Kadabra counter. Yes, you're unironically seeing me consciously bringing a Drowsy to counter a Kadabra in a Nuzlocke. If you think that's funny, by the way, just wait to see how I use this later on. Alakazam doesn't have that many counters with this rule set, so you do need to be a bit careful about that. But then after that, Lieutenant Surge was also a complete joke. Gloom walls out everything pretty much. Pikachu did get some hacks on my Gloom, but you could just use any of your other 5 mons to be that, just in case that happens. Gloom even ended up walling into Raichu hard. So easy fam. Rock Tunnel, then Lavender Town rival next, and that was still really easy. Though this time I got a Geodude in Rock Tunnel, and this is a great mon. It even has relaxed nature, so it pretty much invalidates every flying type apart from Gyarados. If it has a water move, but it didn't have it in this battle. And I guess like Mega Rayquaza as well. That can be Graveler, yeah, well. But after that, go to Giovanni, and he gets completely bodied by the combination of 2 water pulses from Wartortle, and Graveler gets Kangaskhan. Okay, I guess. It's kind of a far cry from Fire Red Omega where he was a genuine threat here, but oh well. Erica also got completely BTFO'd pretty much by Golbat. I did get lucky by dodging a stun spore, but it didn't matter at all as Vileplume wouldn't have done anything to me anyways, as it turns out that its only attacking option against Golbat is flipping Acid. Okay. Now I've got access to so many new encounters before the next rival fight at Silphco, but the only 2 encounters that actually matter are, first of all, the Ghastly at Lavender Tower. Make sure that you Repel Minute for this, as the last thing you want is to encounter a Cubone instead of Ghastly, which can happen. Haunter is another great mon to use, so good for this Nuzlocke. It kind of is like Kadabra at home, but because of its typing, it does have niche uses due to its typing, and it's still got very respectable stats. So definitely catch it. As you can see, If every boss fight so far was cannon fodder, the normal trainers are nothing more than glorified loading screens for me. The hell? The next encounter that's even slightly notable is Horsey. And Seadra's great. Very nice special attack and very good attacking options with its mono water typing. Though Wartortle did outshine it, mainly because the Wartortle I had the best nature and insane IVs, but Seadra is definitely good regardless. You can definitely get some use out of it. Almost none of the other encounters were even remotely relevant this run. Yeah, this run pretty much does have a centralized meta where you mostly use the same mons for the entirety of it. Do make sure you get the leftovers though, they are so good. Okay, so here's the next rival battle, and for some reason I really got anxious and overestimated his power, but he ended up being a complete joke once again at this level. Graveler still wrecks Pidgeotto, his evolution pretty much did nothing. Now for Venusaur, for this battle I decided to try out Cypher, and yes, I stopped using it after this battle. Cypher is technically an NFE mon, just like Golbat, it can evolve in post game, but really Cypher feels too stupid to use, even without sword stats which it gets by level up. I mean, those stats is basically Golbat but better, and really, Cypher already has fully evolved stats, and though it technically does evolve in post game, its stats don't actually change on evolution, they just get pretty much redistributed, so Cypher really does feel like a fully evolved mon already, so I just ban it. Oh well. Even though its strongest move is wing attack, it still feels just way too good to use. So yeah, moving on. I guess at Celadon City, instead of getting Cypher, you could get something else like, I don't know, Dratini to get Dragonair, which is actually not bad. Or you can get Abra, like, just in case you failed to catch it earlier on, you can get it here guaranteed. So yeah. Weirdly enough, Haunter wasn't actually a guaranteed Gyarados counter in this battle, as it's not EV trained and Bite did a lot to it. Special Gyarados, I guess. But who cares, Wartortle of all things easily beats a 1v1. This is just so weird to see. Just goes to show how laughable the AI is in this game. Giovanni gets semi-swept by Wartortle, but of course, he had to get the damn Poison Sting Poison Hacks. Whoa, the power. I was probably dead to crit there. I mean, who even needs Sludge Bombs? Poison Point's insane on Nidoqueen. Yeah, he literally did nothing to me. Moving on. Goga's next, and he requires a tiny smidgen quantity of brain to beat. Kadabra with the stolen Twisted Spoons I get from Wild Abras, and a good chunk of special EVs will one-shot pretty much every poison type except for Muck. I think Muck is only a one-shot if you've got like max EVs, which I still don't have yet, but who cares, as it turns out that Psychic on Haunter would have easily swept regardless, as turns out he literally cannot touch it, even Muck goes down to 2 hits. Lel. Now this right here is probably the most hilarious battle of the whole run. Now, I know Sabrina can be a potential pain. She has strong special attackers and I don't have any reliable special walls for them. Drowsy might be able to take out Alakazam, but it can't take out everything on her team, so I needed another option to help out. A physical sweeper maybe. That sweeper is Pidgeotto. Yes, that's right. Pidgeotto of all things. I give it 10 proteins and 10 card bosses, so it's partially EV trained. It's not even halfway there, but at least it's got something. But regardless of Pidgeotto, with TM return, it ends up kinda just sweeping the whole team with a return. Only on this channel, on the Nuzlocke Enjoyer, will you see this level of absurdity in Nuzlockes. That's why you better sub, by the way. People forget that Badge Boost exists, I guess, which is a 10% boost to attack and speed, and I think the AI has something like maybe 0 IVs, which just goes to show how baby core minus this actually is. So it makes sense that Pidgeotto goes off really hard. The power. Blade next was a very funny battle. It was meme-tastic. Oh baby. Not even the 10% burn hacks mattered. Hell, even had that final Arcanine gotten a crit on Wartortle, it just would not have mattered either way. Just get Shrek, Blaine. Giovanni can also just get about. I will say this is getting pretty boring. There's almost like there's just nothing to talk about because everything's just a one-sided stomp fest. Even the final rival battle was, you guessed it, uneventful. It's funny how Venusaur literally just does nothing, especially the Golbat, and how Alakazam was completely helpless against a Drowsy of all things, a flipping Drowsy, just destroying an Alakazam. Give it Shadow Ball to make it a destroyer of psychic types. Also forgot to mention that the badge 7 boost to both special stats is really nice, 10% to special attack and special defense is kind of noticeable, so that's good. But with that, let's just end the run. You'll be pleased to know, however, that things do get a lot more difficult towards the end, and there actually is going to be a slight challenge, so yes, things do happen. But the final encounter before then in Victory Road is, yes! I really wanted this matchup. Oh baby, it's Lonely Nature with great IVs. Machoke is really good for this team. So this is my final squad. I did have to resort to quite a lot of EV training, because without EVs you will eventually be very outmatched against Lance, and it basically does turn into a big RNG fest at that point whether or not you can win, which I ain't about. So I maxed out my EVs kinda, just to show how easily you can actually make this run if you wanted to EV train. To flex even harder though, despite this, to make things a tiny bit harder, I did reduce the level cap to 58, making me pretty underleveled compared to the champion, but I don't care. I do think it's pretty bad game design how Lorelei starts off with level 52, but the Pokemon League ends with a level 63. There's just too much variation in level, so if you go in at level 60 Lance's level, the first two Elite Four members are just so underleveled. But despite that, I settled on this team, but I did make a very big mistake of having too many Psychic type weaknesses, 4 specifically. That does make Alakazam problematic unless you have a way to safely beat it, which, as you will see, did end up being quite a crapshoot. Added Gloom back onto the team is a wall of sorts, which can also use Sleep and Recovery with Giga Drain, but with this team you should be fine more often than not. So Lorelei's first, and she is one of the hardest members to deal with. It didn't go as planned though. Machoke led and went for a Brick Break, and holy memes, it one-shotted the Dugong. I guess great IVs, EVs along with level advantage, Lonely Nature and badge boost makes sense. Slowbro was a bit pesky to beat because it's a wall, but Gloom was able to handle it. I forgot that I had Amnesia set up already, so that's why my Giga Drain wasn't doing that much damage. I completely forgot about that, but I just got a crit anyways and destroyed the Slowbro well. I took Ice Beam surprisingly well though, that's kind of funny. That's when you know Gloom's a good wall. The Lapras was the first legit threat of the entire run, as it somehow dodged 2 Toxics in a row from my wartortle and got off Parafusion. Oh no. Toxic Leftovers Protect Wartortle was designed specifically to beat Lorelei, as it kinda just walls out most of her team. If it hits I guess, but I didn't. I did use Leftover Protect on Machoke as backup, as I knew Machoke would be really good against Lorelei, and just as well, as that was able to save me here. This potentially could have gone wrong had I gotten really unlucky, but the Fallen Cloister pretty much does nothing, but the Jinx was funny. It got the RNG on me and I was hella scared of this, but it turned out that Jinx only has Ice Punch? What on earth? No Psychic? But I misplayed by switching in Haunter, which would have definitely died to a crit. So this is actually the second critical hit in the whole run that I had to dodge, which is kind of hilarious, but phew, I win anyways, so I won't complain. This could have gone a lot worse, but I didn't get too unlucky. I mean, missing double Toxic was kind of BS, but oh well. I definitely could have prepared better and probably played around things better, but oh well. I'm still here. Bruno's next, and this is just meme-tacular. Kadabra with near max special attack, IVs, EVs, and Twisted Spoons. One-shots everything. And Agatha too, she gets bodied. Good lord, what have I done? However, Lance was much harder, and I didn't really prepare for him properly, so Haunter lead to one-shot Gyarados. Aerodactyl is a threat, but Wartortle can't handle it unless you get super unlucky to crits. Like I sort of did. I got crit by Hyper Beam, which was super annoying because this can no longer handle the other mons. kinda needed it for Ice Beam. Damn these crits. Machoke can one-shot Dragonair with Gut Spew's Revenge, which is really strong, but the Dragonite almost ended my run. The hell? First of all, I forgot that it was safeguarded, so I stupidly tried to confuse Rage, which is so dumb of me. That was just complete waste of a turn. Gloom was able to just stall out Outrage and confuse the Dragonite with Moonlight, and use that to restore its HP, but man, I had to dodge 3 crits here, which is really dicey. Kadabra was somehow able to come back in on the sleep, then 2-shot the Dragonite. But unfortunately, Dragonite gets a turn 2 wake up. But fortunately, it hits itself. Yikes. Kadabra for the win with Psychic. Okay, for all the memeing aside, I've been doing this challenge. This battle was actually genuinely scary. I almost lost 1 or even 2 mons there. But with that, there's only one more battle to do before I win. The rival's been easy as hell. Until now, but I am under leveled this time, so can I win? And not only win the NFE Nuzlocke, but do so completely flawlessly without losing a single mon? Let's find out. So, with no Graveler here, I need Wartortle to handle the Pidgeotto instead. I guess in this regard it's kind of Graveler at home in terms of flying type counters, but it's still pretty good. Venusaur gets destroyed by Golbat, but the hilarious thing is that Wartortle actually can legit beat the Venusaur 1v1, as I think it only uses Solar Beam, so that's really funny with the Protect. Now Alakazam was the only real threat here, and this is where having 4 Psychic type weaknesses really bit me in the ass. I used Shadow Ball on Kadabra to specifically counter the Alakazam. It's actually brave in nature, which is kind of funny, but it still wasn't enough to reliably KO the Alakazam in 2 hits. Oh! I'm going to lose Kadabra, looks like, and it's going to be really hard for my other mons to handle it. I mean, Golbat might outspeed with its speed investment in good IVs and badge boost, and Wartortle can most likely take a hit then retaliate, but that's still not desirable. But no. Now I get a crit with Kadabra and I one-shot the Alakazam from this range. Oh, baby, that's what I'm talking about. For the win, Haunter Thunderbolts Gyarados, then Wartortle sweeps the rest, the Arcanine Rhydon with Surf. Now that's more like it. So it's done now. It's all ogre. I've just done the NFE Locke easily, and without a single death in the whole run. Talk about flex posting. This run was kind of interesting, and it was fun doing this run on the standard game with these obscure middle evolutions that you either never take seriously or just you only use for a very small portion of the game. It's a spicy take on Nuzlocke, but despite it being a joke, except for the end, you still need to know what you're doing to easily win. Most people would actually struggle a lot with this. I mean, a lot of people struggle doing this without any restrictions, just a normal Nuzlocke as it is, so yeah. That's pretty much the end of the video. Thanks for watching guys, and stay tuned for some more unique challenges. I need some suggestions on what to do next. Maybe a mono-type Nuzlocke, maybe a ROM hack, something. Doing this in Gen 4 sounds hella interesting, as for an NFE Locke in Gen 4 you get access to all sorts of mons like Gligar, Electabuzz, and of course Pogmar. Or Gen 5 due to Eviolite, that's a pretty spicy strategy, but... Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I only just remembered this now at the very end of the video. How the hell did I forget about Chansey in this game? Even if I did encounter Chansey and somehow caught it, I would not have allowed it anyways, so yeah, that doesn't really matter anyways. So, with that, I will see you all next time. This is the Nuzlocke Enjoyer, signing out.